Hello everybody. It's very strange to watch a film with your face. In case you are wondering. Very strange thing. Hi.
Hi.
I wasn't going to ask you any questions, to be honest. I think, we just saw a film that's a dialogue between the two of you, and now we're going to have a dialogue between the two of you in person. And we might, if there's time, we might have some questions from the audience towards the end.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Very well. Yeah, no, I'm very happy. Thank you everyone for being here. It means a lot. As you've seen, this was edit number 57. Actually, sneakily 58. Because I did do some changes this morning. Yeah.
Are you going to do some more changes for tomorrow?
No, that's it. Once you see it, I always say, for me, it's a bit like sewing. So it takes time to see the picture that you're sewing from the outside. There's so many layers, and it really takes time. And also, the most important thing for me is that the films feel alive. So I think that's why I tend to struggle to let them go sometimes, or sometimes they just go immediately, but I tend to open them up and constantly trying to look for life in them. And I guess music, you might have seen there's not a lot of words in the film. I think the music is really the conversation, and time, there's a lot of time elements, because I think time is one of the main things also between us, but in all of my films, because I film friends, and with friendship, I think is one of the most you have to decide to be friends, and we are constantly changing individually and together. Yeah. So the effort of choosing to constantly leave enough space between ourselves to constantly find each other again.
Yeah.
That exercise.
Yeah.
I love it.
You love that exercise, like the challenge of that work.
Yeah, and I think that's also there. I feel it between us, between you and your work, between me and my work, between us.
Yeah, and we kind of often don't really talk about friendship. Well, it's you make a big deal out of friendship. It's unusual to kind of go, let's look at this. It's usually supposed that's reserved for romantic connections that people are going to make a movie. But
I think I've been watching your face for many hours.
Yeah.
That's effort.
I can only imagine.
Intentionality in that. Every time I look at you,
takes work.
Everyone that I make a film with and on, it's image is so you can manipulate so much. So basically, there's a very deep. Sorry, Rob, I'm like. There's a very deep. There's a very deep ethical part of it that is the love, in the sense of the love of the friendship is what guides you in all of that hours and hours of conversation, of footage is and I'm not sure that's you, but that's how my heart sees you, I think is
I was working, I was in the corner cringing, and so and all of the, God, for fuck's sake, when is I've heard, that music a lot. And it's when is this guy gonna shut up? It's yourself, But I was reminding myself that it's your vision, and it's it's your voice, it's your perspective and it's your voice. Because it's and we cover many of the crew, but there's a lot of the crew that we are not in it, you know what I mean? And a lot of the stuff that's not, but and yet it's what you have, you know. So it is yours, and it's like about allowing myself, like letting go, like getting over myself once again. Yeah. It's really it's a deep honor to have my work involved in this.
I mean, I do have a question, which is, I remember, you know, you kind of hinted
Rob,
at it in
let's
the
go
film.
up with questions. Great, let's go.
Which is, you know, I remember when we first started talking about this, and you kind of hinted at it in the film that, you know, you guys were were making this film without even realizing it for a long time, you know. And I'm just wondering, how did that actually come about? Like, how was it that you were shooting all this footage of Alabaster before deciding you were going to make this film?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the process of all my films. Like I basically, as I say, you know, I've been existing with a camera all my life. I got a camera when I was 18 for my 18th birthday, and I basically existed with this camera since now.
She's filming you right now.
and yeah, I carry it. Yeah.
Is it literally in there?
There's mandarins at the moment.
Just for once.
Yeah, I don't know why I brought that. I thought maybe. Maybe.
Anyone hungry?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, filming, and then I guess, you know, when you're young and you're trying to understand who you are, I loved being in a context with a camera because I felt like I had a role and I didn't have to talk about who I was. I was just existing in backstages with a camera. No one bothered about me. I wasn't like, you know, a pretty girl, like, I just had a camera and that's it. And I existed in backstages all my life, filming musicians. And with musicians, I don't know, there's something about the absence of words and just that moment where, you know, it's about the music. And I think I've been hiding for quite many years behind this camera. And I just recently realized how much, but not in a bad way. It's just like you learn how to disappear in context in order to absorb them the best. And then in the editing is where you come together in yourself again. You know, the editing is where you exist, and the filming is where you vanish and recompose. And at least for me, and I've been filming lots of raves, like techno raves, or also like being in environments that it's all about that feeling of vanishing in sound, and very different also from the instrumental context. I also come from a very different sort of, like, I've been working in clubs a lot, mostly. And also this is why I love this, is because I've also I don't know if I should say this, but basically some years ago I was filming a rave in Morocco, and we were all a bit stoned at the dinner at the end of the thing, and someone said, you know, there's this like album of this guy called John Cage, and he's like silent, and I was just like, I started to laugh because I thought, what is this guy saying? And then I thought how lovely it is that I can exist in all these different environments that have all these different codes of behavior and language and ways of existing. If I manage to make films that have no judgment, but they exist horizontally, and they teach me how to exist. Do you know what I mean? All these films that don't judge each other, but actually coexist. I would love that. I would love to be able to exist in all these different ways around music without judging them. And yeah, that's what I try to do a lot, also with myself. And that's how I learned to be around music and people, even in ways that I felt uncomfortable at the start.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, why should you not say that?
Don't know, because I didn't want to sound snobby that the guy didn't know John Cage. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny that he didn't know John Cage. Okay, cool. I was like, oh, you don't know John Cage. but anyway. Oh god,
Are
guys.
you making like more films about London?
Yeah, I'm actually making my first feature now. So,
What?
and to reply to you better than what I did.
That's a good reply.
Thank you. But yeah, I've been filming musicians and friends, musicians and artists for 15 years. And this dream of making a film that shows the different ways of existing around music became all these films that in between happened to teach me so much. And now I'm making this feature one, which I never thought I would do, because somehow I thought, you know, it's just this imagination of it.
Yeah.
It's actually.
Because I was like, would you come and like do the thing about the Coco gig?
Yeah.
And then you were like, to be honest, I'm doing the thing about the whole.
See you in 10 years.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, that was like last year, 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
But it's like, because I was thinking, you know, I know that you're making a broader thing about London in general, because you were working on like getting the funding and the stuff to make the bigger film. But it's like, oh no, I'm just making this anyway, so we already were. But you never know when you like when you're making, you never know when you're working. But I'm not like a proper, you know, prot. I'm always like all about the work. And like I'm always like, oh, technically that's working, but you never know. Like when you're making the piece, you know, like when I had the job with adults with learning difficulties for 10 years. When I started that job, I thought I was doing work as in I thought I was getting a job so that I could have some money. You know? But truly, I was learning the things that I use now in this, you know. And I didn't know that I was, you know. It's all the, you know, it's all the work, you know. It's all as in the work, as in that creative work, you know. It is, you know, that I can't sing the song without living the life, you know. Is that the song? Which I speak.
Does anyone here like to ask any questions or make any comments, or would anyone here like a kind of thing?
Yeah.
I have a question. 7 years is a long time to like establish a dialogue between two people. So I'm just curious as to like what the most important things you learned from each other or about each other were, or like the most what you were able to teach one another throughout that process.
Well, over 7 years, what were we able to teach each other? Did I learn anything? Did you learn anything? What were we able to teach each other?
What would you came to appreciate about one another in the process?
I think I want to answer really. I think I really appreciate your resilience. Resilience, is that a word?
That is a word, yeah. That's a very kind word, thank you. What do you think of that? Resilience. Wow. There is an aspect of your boldness that you see the kind of shots she's been taking, and it's just like, you just gotta deal with it. It's literally that, like, fucking deal with it. You know? It's almost like, and there's this feeling of like it would be rude not to, you know, cope with the fact that she put that camera. And you just done something that's just happened, and it's just like you're processing some experience. It is fine because it's fine. Does that make sense? The leadership of your being cool with the setting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think I definitely stopped disappearing now. I'm like,
You stop disappearing.
because I was saying this thing about kind of camouflaging in context, you know, where you like, especially around music, there's always this idea, you know, that film, like it's a funny conversation and very long, and I'm not going to go there, but like this idea of like the person filming the music has to be, you know, cannot go in the front, has to be like always like jumping around and being very delicate and learn how to be, not invade the space, not invade the stage. And yet after many years, I made this film in Czech Republic where actually I stood in front of the musician and filmed the audience. So I was in between the musician and the audience, and it was incredible. And then I realized that that was the film I was making, because I put on that night to be my film. That night, if it wasn't my film, wouldn't exist. So I could exist the fuck I wanted in that night.
Yeah.
But the feeling was like, I should be hiding. I shouldn't be. And then it was an incredible moment. Like all the audience ran towards the music, and I stood and watched all these people running towards me and towards the camera. And then I had this realization that somehow it's almost like we're waiting for someone to authorize us to do something, or to be, or like, and suddenly I was like, as simple as that, I just made the thing I needed to stop disappearing. But not because disappearing is bad. It's a bit like falling in and out of love. I wasn't in love anymore with that feeling, and I needed a different feeling. So maybe also working on this feature now is the right moment, because it is the right moment. I've absorbed so much of the archive, of the friendships, of the conversations, of everything, that it's a different moment.
There's an aspect of like, we're not doing something if we have to. As well.
Exactly.
It's not, you're not, if you only can, then you are not doing, because you're not choosing to. It's happening to you, you're not doing.
I think we're going to have to vacate this room for the next stream, but we can continue the conversation in the bar. And before I wrap things up, I just want to say thank you again for coming, and thank you to Rebecca for making this beautiful film, and thank you to Alabaster for being such a beautiful artist.
We could tell them that they're welcome at Churchill.
Yeah, I was going to do that. Yeah, so so I don't know if you got the email I sent around earlier, but anyone who has a ticket for tonight is also welcome to come to Church of Sound, which is this beautiful jazz concert series which features a little bit in the film that Gus has played a number of times. So they have a band called SML playing there tonight, who are this kind of like super group of amazing improvising musicians from the States that are also part of the International Anthem record label that Alabaster is part of. So you just need to show your ticket at the door, and they'll let you in for free. I highly recommend it. Church of Sound is in a church called like St. James the Great in Clapton. And also we have these posters that we printed off of, we had 3 different posters made by the designer was your friend
Joe Gilmore. I
Joe
call him
Gilmore.
Joe Gilmore.
So we have just a few of these to sell we're selling for £8 each, and I'm sure the guys will be happy to sign them. And is there anything else you guys want to mention or flag before we wrap things up?
Thank you very much.
You're amazing.
Okay.